let's start with ThreatQ, threat intelligence platforms, and a little bit background. In the last few years, we saw threat intelligence, threat data gaining more and more importance, aiding security processes within companies. And this is on two different sides. One on the side of feeds, maybe delivering threat information via sharing platforms, via commercial feeds, via open source feeds, or simply via email threads, via PDFs, and other means, Twitter accounts. So, and on the other side, more and more security vendors having the capabilities to ingest threat data. And for us, it's like we don't want to see every security platform ingesting individual various means of threat data. For us, it's we want to, as a threat intelligence platform, we want to play within a company the single source of truth when it comes to threat intelligence. And for us, it's not only about threat data, about indicators of compromise, it's also about all the other related information around these indicators of compromise. And this is what you can basically see here on the landing page of ThreatQ. You do see here the various incoming feeds from in my test platform, and this ranges from information regarding vulnerabilities for various software platforms from the National Vulnerability Database, really sophisticated analysis from Group IB regarding phishing attacks and threats. It goes to open source feeds like Emerging Threats and Bambanek, and information from the USCERT. So this all comes into the platform and bringing indicators of compromise in the platform. Our job now is to do the normalization of this information, the deduplication and the aggregation. So, and that we can just make out of the threat data the most relevant data for you, for this specific company you're working in, regarding your country, regarding your vertical, regarding the threats which are most important to you. So this is partially done by scoring. You saw the results of the scoring in the top left corner. But starting how we deal with threat data and how we put threat intelligence to it, I just want to give you two examples. And one might be this IP address I put here on my watch list. And what you can see here is this IP address came in, why ever? I don't know. The only information I do have is the source it came from. I have the information when it came into my database, but other than that, I don't have any information. So the only way for me to deal with this information is either going for more context. I can do this via the associated operations within the platform. I can go to VirusTotal, to IP2 locations, to Shodan, and manually retrieve more context in order to deal with this information. Or I can simply have it here, stay in this platform and say, okay, you know what? It's only one source anyway. I scored it very low. So I keep it there. Maybe later on, I have additional information from various other sources. On the other side of the coin, there might be information like you can see here on the second indicator I prepared. And you see right away that this looks very, very different. Not only that you really have now in the attributes section lots of information, but also here on the left-hand side within the relationships. So, And we do have various sources delivering information about the same indicator. So you have, as a really simple information, the information from Alien Vault saying they believe that their information is true. This is cool, right, as such, but it doesn't give me really context. This context comes from a different source saying that this FQDN is related to phishing. This is, and that the company who delivered this information is really confident that it's actually related to a phishing campaign. So that is the reason we do have associated to this one indicator also other information, relationship to a campaign where they saw this, relationship to events Alien Vault reported from it. We do have a relationship to an incident and to various other related indicators. And because it's phishing, also a relationship built up in my threat intelligence platform regarding a TTP. So for me, it's an example from threat data, like you saw it in the indicator before, and real threat intelligence when you compare it to this indicator. And what we do have on the right top corner here, you see here a score of 10. And this is one of our unique selling points, where we say, you know what, out of the thousands and millions indicators, I need to have a system, a matrix, which I can put over the incoming indicators and decide. And this is adopted by the score. And if I hit the information button, you can see here why it's why it reached the number 10. So it's because I trust in the sources, because I looked for various attributes. And how do I do this specifically? I want to show you now. It's under data management. And the first page you can see here is another cool feature of ours. It's the so-called automatic expiration or lifecycle management of indicators. So I can decide for every indicator type coming into the platform, how long it stays active. Why is it a cool feature? Because if I refer to one example, IP addresses of CNC servers, right? How long will a CNC server be active within a campaign? Maybe a maximum of 30 days, maybe shorter. But if I can give this information to this indicator within my platform, I later on, by distributing over the days, I just after the 24 days are over, I'm not distributing it anymore to other departments or to my internal security landscape. So this is a really cool feature to judge on the relevance of the data. The other one is the scoring. So what I employed here as a scoring system is a really basic one. So I went not for indicator type, I went more for indicator source. How trustworthy or how much info do I get with the various sources? So if I do have an open source, which is not giving me a lot of context, I give it a 1 as a score. If I do have an open source which gives me a little bit more context, I give it a 2. If I do have a paid source which gives me really threat intelligence, I give it a 3. And on top of this, the 4 stays for internal information. So if there is an analyst working on something, putting comments or on a indicator, putting attributes to an indicator, stuff like this, or putting an indicator itself in the system, it's automatically rated with 4. And I can fine-tune the whole system more via attributes. That says the source I use needs to provide these attributes, right? Only then I can score on it. So for example, if I connect to the National Vulnerability Database, and they give me information about all the operating systems having vulnerabilities. They will provide information for Mac OS X in any way. If I don't have this in my network, I don't care about this. So it's a -10, right? Phishing is really common. So I put a point on it as well. And if the confidence is high and my feed provider is telling me this, I give it also a score. So and with this, I can really fine tune the company-related score. Yeah, if the sources say target country is Ukraine, is Russia, then I can look for this attribute here. In my case, I would put in Germany. If I do have a specific vertical, I can choose this, and so I can really tailor my scoring system. So, and this is then resulting in a scoring result like this, right? And you can see here, the total number of indicators is nearly 1 million. But the number of indicators I do have with a score by 10 is only 20. This is not really even 1%. But this is a number I can deal with. So what I can do this in with this result then is I can use these scored threat intel data and provide them to my internal security network. For example, one of the best use cases is to provide this then to a SIEM system. I have, based on my external sources, the information that there is something going on, that there are hash values, that there are CNC servers and stuff like this. I put the matrix over it, and then I say, okay, look, I'm interested in only indicators which are active, which have the score from 10 to 8, and only them I want to provide to the SIEM system. So because I'm working from home, I just have the free Splunk solution here, but we can work together with any other SIEM system in the world. So if you look here on the left-hand side, this is what came in from my threat intelligence platform, the scored indicators. You see it here, 10 and 8, and this is what came in. They give you the same information I already had in the threat intelligence platform regarding indicator distribution, where the info came from, and then the values. The more interesting part is the empty part on the right-hand side, because the application here is matching the threat intel from the outside against the log files from the inside. And as soon as this is 0, I can just continue with my daily task, because this means I never saw anybody connecting to a CNC server. I never saw a download of a specific hash or part of something. I'm really on a safe side. If this is 1, our implementation is this, that we immediately get notified and have this feedback loop within the threat intelligence platform. Why is this necessary? It gives me the ability to close the loop, as I said, right? But from there, I can start other actions. I can just generate a ticket within the ticket system. I can add this information to the ticket system. I can then provide from there an update of a blacklist. But I also can use this information to share this information within my sharing community, because this is then an update and new quality of my threat intel. Because I can say this was only just general threat information from the outside, from various sources, but now I see this really within my network. And at least it was once seen or twice. It might not have had an impact, but I saw this, and I have to raise my security measures in order to prevent any issues. So that's one of the use cases we can generate with simple scored threat data. The other part I want to shortly mention is what is it about this threat intel, the threat intelligence within a threat intelligence platform. And what I want to show you quickly is when I browse all, I can show you all the content of a threat library of a threat database. And it starts with the different adversaries. You can see here on the left-hand side all the information we collect according to a database scheme which is related currently to STIX12 or STIX20 database objects. This can be adopted to the workflow and the data model the customer works with, right? But what I also have, and which is really, really important, is the relationship building between the different information. So if I simply search for a keyword, like we were with phishing, right? And really popular malware these days is ThreatQuotient. So if I look for ThreatQuotient, the database will look for all the related information within the database. And you can see here the results on the left-hand side. What I can do is I can save this and do a dashboarding and say, okay, if I was targeted once by a certain spearfish, right, I might raise my awareness regarding this. So I want to show you, as a last part of my quick demonstration, a related dashboard. I simply created by a search I did like this. So on the left-hand side, you see all the indicators related to ThreatQuotient in the system. You see the indicators by type, but you also see how the scoring was. So there is no high score, really high score for any ThreatQuotient related indicators. So I'm safe there. On the middle column, you do see relationships to adversaries. Adversaries known for using this kind of malware. But the most important thing for me is this one here, this ThreatQuotient related COA. So if I do have the single source of truth, I can put here every information I collect regarding threat intelligence. And this is what happened here. The CERT team, and I acted as a CERT team sort of, looked for what do I need to do if I'm victim of a ThreatQuotient malware thingy. So what do I really have to do to get rid of this? So they created a response sheet. They stored it here. So you will find here the response process, how the analysts who gets aware of a ThreatQuotient malware outbreak, what he has to do in order to get rid of this. So again, aiding the security processes, shortening the time to response, and shortening the time to get rid of the issue. And this is really a good example how we work together. We bring the all the related information together, because if you imagine you will work with a SOAR platform and just request the status of an indicator and say, oh yeah, and by the way, give me all related information. And we figure out as a threat intelligence platform that this indicator is related to a phishing campaign. We will also send over to the SOC team an information like this. So we really shortcut the information. Plus, we are able to aid the team saying, okay, you know what? In our database, we also have, like here, Yara rules for hunting for this specific malware. And so it comes all together. There are various other use cases, but these are 2 or 3 use cases with a threat intelligence platform. And so, yeah, I like to end my quick introduction into ThreatQ. If you do have questions, just ask. I try my best to answer.
Уважаемые участники, у кого есть вопросы, пишите в чат, и я их переведу нашему докладчику, или пишите сразу на английском. We don't have any questions in our chat.
So this means I was really bad.
No, it did not mean you are really bad.
So now I try one of my...
It means that it's the end of the day.
Yes, yes. So yeah, now I can try a little bit of Russian. I say пока.
Дякую. Спасибо. Thank you very much.